we won't be doing that again. Let's take a closer look at the piece I'll be making over. This is a large, mid-century modern dresser that I got off Facebook Marketplace for $40. It's mostly laminate, although the drawers are actually solid wood, and it has that faux wood grain plastic coating all over everything. What I love about this dresser is the low profile, the length, and just the overall shape. However, there's two things that I'll definitely need to get rid of. One is the legs. I just feel as though they don't fit with the overall aesthetic of this piece. And I'm also going to see if I can remove those panels on the middle drawers just to give everything a more streamlined look. I'm also going to be adding veneer to some of the drawers, and this is going to be my first time applying veneer. So let's get right into this and see how this turns out. Okay, so the screws for this are actually on this side here, not on the inside. After removing the hardware, I got to cleaning. I used Dawn dish soap and some hot water and scrubbed the entire piece down. And when I say I scrubbed it down, I mean everything. The outside, the inside of the drawers, the body, the whole thing got a good thorough cleaning. And then I wiped everything down with some warm, clear water just to get rid of any soap residue. Okay, I don't know why, but I just really did not like the legs that came with this dresser. So off they go, and you'll see later on what I ended up replacing them with. So one of the things I don't like about this dresser are these moldings here. They just look kind of dated. So I'd rather make this look flat, and so I'm going to remove these moldings from the dresser. So these are usually just nailed in, and the key is removing these nails after. I started filling the nail holes with DAP wood filler, and then after I changed my mind and decided to use Bondo to fill up all of my actual hardware holes. I like using Bondo over wood filler just because it doesn't shrink as it dries, and so it fills up the holes evenly. I can sand it down nice and smooth and get a nice seamless finish. Bondo is not stainable, so you can't really use Bondo if you're filling something in that you want to stain or have that natural wood grain look. But since I knew I was painting this piece, Bondo was totally fine to use. I wanted to have some wood grain exposed on this piece. However, I knew that the wood underneath the plastic coating, if I were to sand it all down, would not be the best quality wood. And so I purchased some paperback walnut veneer that I then plan to adhere to the fronts of the bottom two drawers. When measuring the veneer, I measured it out slightly larger than the actual front face of my drawer. I used a simple X-Acto knife to cut it, and I laid down some painter's tape on the good side of the veneer. This would help to prevent any sort of splintering or splitting of the wood as I ran the blade across. Before attaching the veneer to the front of the drawer, I decided to do the edges. I purchased some iron-on veneer edge banding, also from Lee Valley, and this was super easy to apply. The heat from the iron activates the adhesive on the banding and helps it stick to the side of the drawer. I simply ironed on, held it in place for a little bit, and it was stuck. I then just cut off the edges to make sure that it was all flush, and it was good to go. So now it's time to add the wood veneer, walnut veneer, facing to the front of the bottom two drawers. So we've already put the edge banding on, and now it's time. We've cut this, and we're gonna attach it to the front with some contact cement. So the way contact cement works is that you put on a layer on both sides, or both pieces that need to stick, and you let it sit for about 15 minutes in order for it to get tacky, and then you attach them. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. This is my first time ever adding veneer to a drawer front. I found the contact cement really difficult to spread with a brush, and next time I have learned to use a foam roller to get a nice even coverage of the contact cement on both surfaces. After letting the contact cement sit for 15 minutes, it was time to add the veneer to the drawer front. This was the trickiest part of the entire makeover. There is literally zero room for error when working with contact cement. So I worked very slowly and carefully, and did my best to line up the veneer sheet to the drawer front so that it was straight and had a little bit of hangover on every side of the drawer before I actually pressed it down. And then once it was in place, I used a rolling pin because, quite frankly, that's all I really had to roll out any sort of air bubbles and make sure that all areas of the veneer had made contact with the front of the drawer. I then went and cut off all the excess edges. This is why it's so important to cut your veneer slightly larger than your drawer front, because this way when you're attaching it to the drawer front, you don't have to line up everything exactly. As long as it's on, you can cut off the edges and you'll have a nice clean finish. Once everything was trimmed down, I lightly sanded the edges. That helped blend the seams together a little bit, and then it was time to stain it. I used a water-based walnut colored stain and applied it, yes, with an old sock. I just find it easy that way. And then I wiped off all the excess with a rag. I then added 3 coats of Varathane's polyurethane in a matte finish. I just applied this by hand. So I have my first coat of primer on, and I just want to show you guys that with the first coat of primer, I still have areas where it hasn't fully sealed. All the areas where I sanded and we exposed the substrate. And so I'm gonna do another coat of primer. And you can see there's some areas over here. There's one right there throughout. And so I'm gonna do another coat of primer just to cover all of those up, make sure they're fully sealed so that when I paint, I get a nice, even, smooth finish without any sort of bleed through or this affecting my paint finish. To get the perfect shade of gray for this piece, I decided to mix 2 colors by Fusion Mineral Paint. One is Soapstone and one is Ash. I mixed them in a 50-50 ratio. And then sprayed the entire dresser with 3 coats of this, lightly sanding in between each coat. What I don't have on video is me spraying on the polyurethane top coat. but I did do 3 coats of that, also lightly sanding in between each coat. I used the same Varathane polyurethane top coat in a matte finish that I used on the drawer fronts that you saw earlier in the video. It was finally time to replace those legs, and so I purchased some new mid-century modern style legs off Amazon and screwed them into the bottom of the dresser. After that, I added some new hardware, and this piece was ready for staging and photos. So before I show you the final reveal, let's go over the numbers and how much this makeover cost me. The dresser I got for $40 off Facebook Marketplace. Paint, primer, top coat cost me about $30. The legs I purchased off Amazon also cost me $30. The new hardware cost me about $25, and the veneer sheet that I used cost me also about $25. So altogether, this makeover cost me $150. I sold this dresser on Facebook Marketplace for my full asking price of $500. That makes my total profit $350. I spent about 7 hours total working time on this makeover, which makes my hourly rate $50 an hour, which is pretty impressive. And now, without further ado, let's get into the reveal. But before that, let's take one more quick look at what this piece used to look like. So what do you guys think? I love how this piece turned out. There's definitely a learning curve when attaching veneer. This was my first time doing it. I've actually used it again in 2 other makeovers since this video, and I've definitely gotten a lot better at it. Let me know in the comments below, 1, if you like how this piece turned out, and 2, if you plan on using veneer on one of your pieces in the future. And that's it for this makeover. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me put out more content like this. And that's all for now. I'll see you all in the next makeover. Bye!